Mhm.
Okay, we'll get started with pranam prayers. I'll share my screen. Vanati Mataji, can you lead us?
Whenever Shekamata she is there, we leave it to her because
Okay, say Hum Mataji.
she says it so nicely.
Okay, I'll start the prayers. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपीशा गोपिका कांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे.
Thank you, Mataji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The translation today we're going to start chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga Devotion Service. The translations and purports to this chapter are by Stephen Bliss, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, so 12th chapter. After a long time, we got to come to this chapter because 11th chapter took a long time, at least 5 weeks. So at the end of the 11th chapter, Krishna actually has established the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga. Right? After Arjuna wanted to see the universal form, he showed it to him, then he became very bewildered, terrified because of the Vishwarupa and then Kalarupa. And then Arjuna says, please remove this form. I don't want to see. I want to see your 400 and then 200 form. Then Krishna shows the 400 and the 200. So that means Krishna's 200 form is the origin for all the other forms, 400 as well as the universe. So Krishna's 200 form. So that's the most confidential subject matter because everyone could see Krishna, but no one could understand that he's a supreme personality. Not many people, not everyone, but not many people could understand. So Krishna says this is the most confidential form, not the universal form. That many people can still see by doing some amount of austerity, some amount of something like charity, and add some devotion to it, then you can see. That's what Krishna is saying. I'm not saying that. Then he says this form, which is the two-hand form, is the most confidential. Not everyone can get to see, and he describes um, the uh, the essence of Bhagavad Gita, that last verse 1155, mat parama. You can go through that quickly. The verse, it's only just the verse. I used to remember, but I forgot. The purports were very big. We went through that last week. It says mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhakta sangavarjita nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasa me yasa mam eti pandava. So whoever does whatever you have to do, do it for me. Consider my abode as a supreme abode. Do devotional service unto me, become my devotee, get over the association of worldly minded people, don't have any nirvaira, no enmity with any living entity, and becoming friendly with all living entity. That is the secret of bhakti, he says. Sa yasa mam iti pandava. So this is how you can come to me. So he established the supremacy of bhakti at the end of 11th chapter. And the 12th chapter, in the beginning, Arjuna is also again going back to the same old question, who is better? Are the impersonal is better or person is better? After having understood the bhakti is the supreme, the topmost process, yet Arjuna is asking this question again at the beginning. Because at that time also there were some impersonal. So Bhakti Yoga is established as a topmost, but within the Bhakti Yoga also people are impersonalists. So some people are Brahman worshippers and some are Bhakti Yogis. Arjuna himself is a Bhakta of Krishna, like 200 form of Krishna. But there were other people who were impersonalists, like worshipping the impersonal Brahman effulgence. So Arjuna starts off this chapter by asking that question, Evam Satata Yuktaye. So we'll go. I'll show you the breakdown. It's a very small chapter, 20 verses only. The first question, Arjuna's inquiry, who is better, personalist or impersonalist? Then Krishna answers that question, personalist versus impersonalist. Then again he establishes supremacy of Krishna Bhakti. Whoever worships him is the best, he says in one verse, one or two verses. Then the next 3 or 4 verses in that section talks about the impersonalists, how they worship and how difficult it is, that process is what he explains. It's very difficult, he says, impersonal bhakti, impersonalism. And then he moves to the next section, which is a very important section, verses 8 to 12. It's progressive stages of bhakti, it's called. However, it starts from the top, comes down. So it's like a ladder. If you take, you go step by step, but this is a reverse. Like he brings us to the top layer first and then brings us down. If you cannot do that, do this, like that. He gives us a lot of, in one sense, concessions. Like there is topmost, but if you cannot do, there is something else that you can still do within the realm of bhakti. That's what he gives. A lot of concessions that Krishna gives. So that's progressive stages of bhakti. And then last 13 to 20, he describes the qualities of a bhakta that endears him. Okay, so that's a section breakdown. Now we'll go to text 1. This is Arjuna's question. If it is small, I will read, otherwise probably I'll just read this and then we'll take turns. Okay, Arjuna vacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate echapyaksharam abhyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Arjuna vacha, Arjuna said, evam, thus, satata, always, yuktaha, engaged, ye, those who, bhaktaha, devotees, tvam, you, paryupasate, properly worship, ye, those who, cha, also, api, again, aksharam, beyond the senses, abhyaktam, the unmanifested, tesham, of them, ke, who, yoga vittamaha, the most perfect in knowledge of yoga. Translation, Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always engaged, properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Purport. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalists can be divided into 2 classes. One is the impersonalist, and the other is the personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The personalist also engages himself not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes of realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is in questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth. But Krishna indicates in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to him is highest of all. It is the most direct and it is easiest means for association with the Godhead. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that a living entity is not the material body. He is a spiritual spark, and the absolute truth is a spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the Supreme Whole and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again in the eighth chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of quitting his body is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of sixth chapter, the Lord clearly said of all the yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. So in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, for that is the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They are so firmly detached that even in the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahmajyoti. They prefer to meditate on the personal form of the absolute, impersonal form of the absolute truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. And so, factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, of the Supreme Lord is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time and there was no disturbance of his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conception of the absolute truth. Yeah, so Arjuna, he is trying to set clear of his own stand because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna and he wants to understand whether this is the right thing because there are transcendentalists. The impersonalists also are transcendentalists. That means they are going on the higher path to understand Krishna. Like impersonal realization, which is Brahma Jyoti, effulgence, is definitely higher form of higher level. It's just below the spiritual sky, right? So people go to that stage, which is even beyond the material world, material sky. So that is like making progress only. But however, compared to the personal, that is still lower level of devotional. So, and he has personally seen that what happened to him when he saw the impersonal form or the all-inclusive form of Krishna in the universal form, he became frightened. So he wanted to clarify that I am attached to this, but there are people who are attached to that. What about that? And conclusion of Bhagavad Gita at the end of every chapter, Krishna is making abundantly clear in the second chapter. Prabhupada is quoting second chapter that absolute truth is a spiritual being, and or the living the living entity is not this body, is a spirit soul, and is part of the spirit, the entire spirit. So that's what second chapter says. And seventh chapter also, Krishna has recommended that the seventh chapter is living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And the eighth chapter also, one who thinks of him by remembering him at the end of their life, they can go back to the spiritual world. Yam yam vapi swaran bhavam, that verse. And in the sixth chapter end, it's a famous verse, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktata momataha. So that's the sixth chapter where he says, whoever thinks of him, the yogi, because that chapter was mostly about the yoga, Ashtanga yoga. However, at the end of yogi who does Ashtanga also can gradually elevate himself. But the highest goal for that yogi is to constantly think of Krishna, which is nothing but devotional service. So that's what at every chapter, Krishna has been making it very clear that devotional service unto him is the supreme and the topmost. And thinking of him and doing that is the supreme and topmost. Therefore, that's what Arjuna is trying to clarify that question. Okay, we'll move to the next verse. Vanati Mataji, please read a second verse.
Yeah, Mata. Shri Bhagavan my avesha mano aye mam nityayukta upasate shraddhaya parayopetas te me yukta tamamata. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Mai, upon me, Avesh, fixing, Manah, the mind, those who, Mam, me, Nitya, always, Yukta, engaged, Upasate, worship, Shraddhaya, with faith, Paraya, transcendent, Upetha, endo, te, they, me, by me, Yukta Tama, most perfect in yoga, Mata, or considered. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith or considered by me to be most perfect. In answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that he who concentrates upon his personal form and who worships him with faith and devotion is to be considered most perfect in yoga. For one, in such Krishna consciousness, there are no material activities, but everything is done for Krishna. A pure devotee is constantly engaged. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes a temple or dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is sinful samadhi. Hare Krishna.
So devotional service has got big gamut of activities. Chanting, hearing are the topmost, definitely. But anything to do along with that, right? Temple worship, cooking for Krishna, washing the dishes, washing the paraphernalia, everything belongs to in the realm of devotional service. So for a devotee, all these are devotional activities, and it is very personal service to Krishna. So if a person if he is able to be engaged in this kind of activities throughout the day, then he is in perfect samadhi. That's the topmost thing that one can aspire for. Although we have other duties to do, but this is something that we can aspire. Even in the activities that we do, if we can think of Krishna constantly and somehow become Krishna conscious, that is also making progress. So in this, so Krishna is saying that those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered to be most perfect. So to the question, who are perfect? Impersonalists or personalists? Krishna has made it clear that it is personalists are most perfect. Then he speaks about the impersonalists in next few verses, 3 to 4 and 5 also probably. Sneha Mataji, please read 3 and 4.
Text 3 and 4. ये त्वा अक्षरम् अनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गम् अचिन्त्यं च कुतस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवं सन्नियां येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति माम् एव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. Synonyms, ye, those who, to, but, aksharam, that which is beyond the perception of the senses, anirdeshyam, indefinite, avyaktam, unmanifested, paryupashate, completely engage in worshipping, sarvatragam, all pervading, achintyam, inconceivable, cha, also, kuta, stham, unchanging, achalam, immovable, dhruvam, fixed, Sanniyama, controlling, Indriya Gramam, all the senses, Sarvatra, everywhere, Samabuddhaya, equally disposed, Te, they, Prapnuvanti, achieve, Mam, may, Eva, certainly, Sarvabhuta hite, for the welfare of the living entities, Rataha, engaged. Translation. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone. Such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. But those who do not directly worship the Supreme Godhead Krishna, but who attempt to achieve the same goal by an indirect process, also ultimately achieve the same goal, Sri Krishna. After many births, the man of wisdom seeks refuge in me, knowing that Vasudev is all. When a person comes to full knowledge after many births, he surrenders on to Krishna. If one approaches the Godhead by the method mentioned in this verse, he has to control the senses, render service to everyone, and engage in the welfare of all beings. It is inferred that one has to approach Lord Krishna, otherwise, there is no perfect realization. Often, there is much penance involved before one fully surrenders onto Him. In order to perceive the super soul within the individual soul, one has to cease the sensual activities of seeing, hearing, tasting, working, etc. Then one comes to understand that the Supreme Soul is present everywhere. Realizing this, one envies no living entity. He sees no difference between man and animal because he sees soul only, not the outer covering. But for the common man, this method of impersonal realization is very difficult. Hare Krishna.
So the impersonal realization means Krishna is saying that one has to control his senses first of all. Senses are very hard to control. That's why we dovetail our senses. Like we have all our senses like hearing, seeing, smelling, touching, all these we dovetail in the service of the Lord, right? Like hearing capacity, propensity that we have, we dovetail it to hearing Krishna Katha. Eating, then we eat Krishna Prasadam, like that. So for a person who wants to go the indirect path, that is going to the impersonal, making progress towards Krishna in the impersonal form way becomes very difficult because they have to control the senses. That means they cannot be doing the things that we ordinarily do. Seeing something automatically, mind goes to that, right? Like even if in the middle of something you're doing something nice, you see, then mind automatically goes there. So they need to be controlling that aspect also. They cannot be eating. We offer and eat, right? We cook, we offer and eat. So they have to control that eating propensity also. So I don't know what they have to eat, but then that propensity to eat a good prasadam also has to be curtailed and controlled. So everything has to be controlled in such a way that they slowly and eventually make progress to understand that there is this supreme soul within the soul. And like that, once they continue in that way, then they will understand that all living entities have the Supreme Lord within them. And after that, then they need to be equal to all, because once they understand that this all living entity, the Lord exists in each and every soul, then they have to treat everyone equally, right? Because Lord is in you, Lord is in within me, Lord is in within them. So all are on the same level in that sense. So they have to treat everyone so equally. They cannot differentiate between one living entity to the other. So these are the difficulties to see. Like, people who consider the impersonal realization, they probably do that, but they do not treat other living entities equally. They, in fact, kill other smaller living entities and eat. It's not just human beings, it's all living entities. Krishna didn't specify it is only human beings. So all living entities, they cannot consider them lower than them. That means they can eat them. They cannot do that. So it becomes very hard because the senses are always engaging us in so many things, going here, going there, thinking something, want to enjoy something. So what a devotee does is to dovetail that propensity in the service of the Lord. And that also, devotees also have to reduce what they are doing, but at least they are on the path. So if they have to eat, they offer to Krishna and then eat that as prasadam. They want to hear something, they want to see something, then they visit temple, see beautiful form of Krishna. That's that's a goal for devotees also. It's not an easy goal also, but we are all going through that. It's not an easy goal for devotees also, but still they are at least on the path. Whereas these people who consider themselves impersonals and think that they're making progress, it becomes very hard because amount of rules and regulations that they have to follow, it becomes very hard for them. So Krishna has already made it very clear that it is very hard. Prabhupada has said it's very difficult, but Krishna says in the next verse that it is hard. Let's go. Amagna Prabhu, can you read 5th verse?
क्लेशोदिक्तरस्तेषाम् अव्यतासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्त हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते. क्लेशः, trouble, adhikatarah, very much, tesham, of them, avyakta, to the unmanifested, asakta, attached, chetasam, of those whose minds, avyakta, toward the unmanifested, he, certainly, gatihi, progress, dukkham, with trouble, deha vadbihi, by the embodied, avyapyate, is achieved. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Purport: the group of the transcendentalists who follow the path of the inconceivable, unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord are called the Jnana Yogis, and the persons who are in Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service to the Lord are called Bhakti Yogis. Now here the difference between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is definitely expressed. The process of Jnana Yoga, although ultimately bringing one to the same goal, is very troublesome, whereas the path of Bhakti Yoga, the process of being in direct service to the Supreme Person of Godhead, is easier and is natural for embodied soul. The individual soul is embodied since time immemorial. It is very difficult. It is difficult for him to simply theoretically understand that he is not the body. Therefore, the Bhakti Yoga accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because there is some bodily conception fixed in the mind, which can thus be applied. Of course, worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form within the temple is not idol worship. There is evidence in the Vedic literature that worship may be saguna or nirguna of the Supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. Worship of the deity in the temple is the saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. But the form of the Lord, though represented by material qualities such as stone, wood, or oil paint, is not actually material. That is the absolute nature of the Supreme Lord. A crude example may be given here. We may find some mailboxes on the street, and if we post our letters in those boxes, they will naturally go to their destination without difficulty. But any old box or an imitation which we may find somewhere, but which is not authorized by post office, will not do the work. Similarly, God has authorized representation in the deity form, which is called Archa Vigraha. This Archa Vigraha is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. God will accept service through that form. The Lord is omnipotent, all-powerful. Therefore, by his incarnation as Archa Vigraha, he can accept the services of all devotees, just to make it convenient for the man in the conditioned life. So for a devotee, there is no difficulty in approaching the Supreme immediately and directly. But for those who are following the impersonal way to spiritual realization, the path is difficult. They have to understand the unmanifested representation of the Supreme, though through such Vedic literatures as the Upanishads, and they have to learn the language, understand the non-perceptual feelings, and realize all these processes. This is not very easy for a common man. A person in Krishna consciousness, engaged in devotional service, simply by the guidance of the bona fide spiritual master, simply by offering regulative obeisances unto the deity, simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, and simply by eating the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very easily. There is no doubt that the impersonalists are unnecessarily taking a troublesome path, with the risk of not realizing the absolute truth at the ultimate end. But the personalist, without any risk, trouble, or difficulty, approaches the Supreme Personality directly. A similar passage appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is stated that if one ultimately has to surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead, this surrender process is called bhakti, but instead takes the trouble to understand what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, and spends his whole life in that way, the result is simply troublesome. Therefore, it is advised here that one should not take up this troublesome path of self-realization, because there is uncertainty in the ultimate result. A living entity is eternally an individual soul, and if he wants to merge into spiritual whole, he may accomplish the realization of eternal and knowledgeable aspects of his original nature. But the blissful portion is not realized. By the grace of some devotee, such a transcendentalist, highly learned in the process of Gyan Yoga, may come to the point of Bhakti Yoga or devotional service. At that time, long practice in impersonalism also becomes a source of trouble, because he cannot give up the idea. Therefore, an embodied soul is always in difficulty with the unmanifest, both at the time of practice and the time of realization. Every living soul is partially independent, and one should know for certain that the unmanifested realization is against the nature of his spiritual blissful self. One should not take up this process. For every individual living entity, the process of Krishna consciousness, which entails full engagement in devotional service, is the best way. If one wants to ignore this devotional service, there is danger of turning to atheism. Thus, the process of centering attention on the unmanifested, inconceivable, which is beyond the approach of the senses, as already expressed in this verse, should never be encouraged at any time. Especially in this age, it is not advised by Lord Krishna.
Yeah, so it is not advised by Krishna. It is not easy. The result is not guaranteed. So all are the difficulties only, like we discussed. So it is very hard. They have to go through so much of literature also. It's not that they don't read scriptures. They do, but that will be in the form of Upanishads. Upanishads are actually transcendental literature, but it is not crystal clearly explained about the Lord and the devotees. It is not very, it is all in a higher language, which becomes very hard for a common man to understand and follow. First of all, to understand and what to speak of following, right? So that is their scripture. They need to understand the scripture, and they have to, and the people, like common man, all human beings, nature is to feel something, think, right? So all these are natural. If we go against our nature, if we cannot do this, cannot do that, that becomes very hard for an embodied soul. So we can understand. So we don't have to talk so much about this because that's not our path. But this book will be read by those people also who are impersonalists. Then for them, Krishna has made it clear, but still they go through that. And Prabhupada in the earlier verse, I think he has said that even though it is very clear from the beginning, Krishna is speaking as a person and everyone has to worship him, these commentators who are impersonalists themselves try very hard. Whatever Krishna is telling as a person, they try very hard to make it sound that some other form within Krishna, some impersonal aspect of Krishna that is speaking rather than Krishna himself. When Krishna says something, he will just say it, right? Why does he have to take a help of an impersonal about something from him and then make it as a point what he's speaking? But these commentators go to that roundabout way to describe something and they confuse the readers. So the result of reading Bhagavad Gita is that one should become one naturally, automatically, at least for the sake of it, like they understand Krishna by reading this particular book. They understand Krishna is a person and he's a supreme personality of Godhead. But any other book which has not gone to explain the inner meaning, that is why Prabhupada named it as Bhagavad Gita as it is, without changing the meaning of what Krishna meant for everything that he has spoken. That is why it is called as it is. But if these people, commentators of other types, they take hard, they go very roundabout way. They actually literally find ways to describe Krishna, who is describing himself as a person, as an in-person. They really struggle and find ways to confuse people. So that's why if anyone reads some other translation of Bhagavad Gita or purports of another version, which is impersonalist, who has written that, they definitely do not become devotees of Lord Krishna. They have a totally different conception. One time I came across a lady. She was hearing a lot of pravachans on the online, and then for simple thing that if we have to offer something to Krishna, if we say that we offer indeed, and that lady was saying that what can we offer to Krishna? Everything belongs to him. whatever, like how much can we offer to this tree? How much can we offer to this sea, this mountain? What can we offer? Because Krishna is that impersonal aspect, right? What do we offer to a mountain, for example? That is her idea, because reading such books and hearing so much of pravachan on the impersonal aspect, that's the conclusion she's drawing. Like, what can we offer? But Krishna is saying, offer me something that you eat, like a patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, little water also I would do. But these people are getting into a conception that what can we offer? We cannot offer water, because to a mountain, what water can you offer? How much of drops of water can you offer? To just like that into the, if you see around, there is so much of like, all that is impersonal conception of the Lord, right? There's no person form. So what do you offer to that? That's what they are drawing it. So it becomes very hard, because they will be carried away by the flowery language. That language will be very flowery, I guess. Like it is very, maybe a lot of words that can endear them to, get their mind intrigued to understand something inner aspects other than what is being spoken. So it becomes very hard, and they get carried away. To bring such people to get to understand the personal, very simple process, whatever you eat, offer, just chant this one mantra for a few times at least, then visit the temple, offer obeisances to the Lord. That's what Krishna is telling, right? Not a lot of things he is told, like just offer obeisances, become my devotee, chant this mantra, offer me something to eat, become my friend, become my devotee. And slowly that is the path you will make progress. And there are higher and higher realizations on the same path itself. We don't have to divert from this path. And this path is not easily available also, because Krishna is not that cheap that just by doing these things that we get him. There are higher realizations, higher austerities that one has to go on, but that the path is set. This is the path through which we can make progress towards Krishna. Anybody wants to add anything? Amagnam Prabhu, you have anything to share?
Actually, Mataji, like just before this class, I was hearing to another class. There it was where Maharaj was talking about this word Govinda, uh, protection to cows. So he was saying any relationship has to have love associated with that. Otherwise, there is no protection. I mean, protection doesn't make any sense. Just to protect the body of the cow, that is a very minimalistic thing you can do. But Krishna was giving that much love to the cows in the context of the Brahmo Vimohan Leela. So I just remember when that you are talking about that lady, she's like, what we can offer to the Lord, because he is everything, he is supreme and all those things. So I was saying that people are still thinking Krishna as the that in the Aishwarya Bhav, it is very difficult even that Aishwarya Bhav to give something to the Lord. But moment you come in that bhav of love, you're offering out of love. It is not for that in the form of Aishwarya. You're offering it because you love him. That's why you offer that thing to Krishna. So I was just thinking about that, Mataji.
Yeah. So there is exchange. Love means exchange.
Yeah.
When it is too big, what is, that's a universal form. What can you offer to universal form? It's too huge to offer anything. Little water, what will it do? So, yeah. Okay, now next section, six onwards is that section we showed you, right? Sorry, 8th onwards. So let's go. I think we have 2 more verses where Krishna is speaking about the impersonal, what difficulties, more difficulties in speak. Gauri Mataji, you joined. You want to read 6 and 7?
Yes, Mataji. Text 6 and 7. Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sannyasa matparah ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha mai avesita chetasam. Ye those who, tu but, sarvani all, karmani activities, mai unto me, sannyasa giving up, matpara being attached to me, ananyena without division, eva certainly, yogena by practice of such, bhakti yoga by practice of such bhakti yoga. Mam upon me. Dhyayantah meditating. Upasate worship. Tesham of them. Aham I. Samudrata the deliverer. Mrityu of death. Samsara and material existent. Sagarat from the ocean. Bhavami I become. Na not. Chirat after a long time. Partha O son of Pritha. Mai upon me, Aveshita fixed, Chetasam of those whose minds. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, have fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha. For them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by the devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind fully on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. This is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjun did in the battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay he will deliver a pure devotee, thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer the soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as the devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord Himself takes him. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears Nayami Paramam Sthanam Archir Adigatim Vina Garuda Skandam Aropya Yatecham Anibaritaha. The purpose of this verse is that the devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord Himself. He clearly states here that He Himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer him by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by His great mercy, comes at once, riding on His bird carrier Garud, and at once delivers the devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he is easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. If one simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service, any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayan Niya, this is confirmed as follows. Yavai sadhana sampatti purushartha chatustyate taya vina tap apnoti na naro narayana naras sarayaha. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by the mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, a devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily. But this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva prapebhyo mokshayasyami me sucha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. This will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful activities of his past life, because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, such a big purport to the verse, but 2 verses. Krishna is saying, those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation and engage in devotional service, always meditate upon me, having fixed their minds upon me. O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So this is Krishna's. So what we do is our efforts here, engaging all our activities. This is Krishna's mercy. He is a swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So this verse denotes that our efforts and Krishna's mercy. So for the devotee, Prabhupada is saying it doesn't have to take that much time. It can be very quickly. It's all up to Krishna because it's Krishna's mercy, right? Like he can deliver. He's saying that here. He's promising. Whatever he says, that means these are all his promises. Bhavami na chirat partha. So he's saying it will happen very quickly. Does not require a long time. Na chirat partha. But then our activities have to be to that extent. We cannot expect whatever we are doing, thinking that that is perfection and then expect Krishna's mercy. However, you can expect, but it is up to Krishna. So we cannot, he has said this, that means it is up to him when he wants to give us mercy. He can deliver us now, we can deliver us next life, few hundred lives, we never know. So it is all about up to Krishna. But our realm falls under this. We worship him, giving up all our activities unto him, devoted to him without deviation, engage in devotional service, always meditating upon him, always fixing our minds upon him. If we can do this, then the rest is in Krishna's hands and he will take us very soon. So the efforts that we put in are very important, right? So we may do things that we are doing, but then the next, if we can think where we are today and how we can make that next step progress, whatever it may be, in terms of chanting attentively, increasing our number of rounds, or our regulations in our regular schedule, to make it conducive to Krishna conscious activities, whatever it is. So if we want to make progress, this is the progress we should aspire to keep thinking of how we can improve upon that. Because everything rests with us, like, the effort is with us, right? We can only beg Krishna to give us his mercy if we show our efforts sincerely and seriously. And the rest of the purport, Prabhupada talks about various places in which he has quoted. Varaha Purana is talking about where Krishna himself will becomes the deliverer, just like the child taken care by the parents. Krishna comes on the Garuda and takes care of the devotees. He doesn't waste any time. Just like in the case of I know Prabhupada is not quoting a lot of Srimad Bhagavatam sections here. He just quotes something, he doesn't give references. But we can think about that pastime of Gajendra. Gajendra was, for 1000 years, he was struggling to get himself freed from the crocodile's grip, but then he was not. So finally he remembered Krishna and he prayed Krishna. So as soon as he prayed to Krishna, Gajendra Moksha prayers, Krishna didn't leave any time. He didn't even properly, was ready to come, but then he came in such a way that he was running along with the Garuda. Garuda was behind Krishna. Krishna was forward. So that is how he comes. This is quoted from, like, he comes on the Garuda carrier, but then he doesn't leave any time behind. He makes it very fast if we show our eagerness. So that's what it is.
Mataji, do you remember we were talking about these 3 Charama shlokas? Prabhupada has mentioned at least 2 of them over here.
Which
One
one?
is,
Yeah.
one is from Varaha Purana and second is Sarvadharman Paritya. Prabhupada is mentioning over here.
What are they called?
The Charama shlokas.
Charama.
So, so the Lord is talking about Sharanagati. So in Varaha Purana, I was just reading simultaneously over here. This is the verse from Varaha Purana. Translation I'm doing. The entire universe is my body. Neither birth nor death has any effect on me. When one gives oneself to me, that is Sharanagati, with firm belief that I am his everlasting support, I think of him at the time of his death. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, think of me, then you will come to me. In Varaha Purana, he's saying, I think of him at the time of his death and rush to his side, even if he has no control over his senses, with his body appearing like a log or a stone. I lead him then to my supreme abode, where he performs eternal service to me. So Krishna over there, he's not even saying that
you have to remember.
You have to do something. You just surrender. Even if you are not capable, I will personally make sure that you remember me.
Yeah. That's the promise he gives. Yeah,
And
if the whole life continues in these activities,
Yeah.
at the end of the life, we never know how the end of the life will be. But then Krishna's promise is there, right? He will make sure that he will remind us. He will send devotees or whatever. He will
And
do.
over there, he's saying that even if you are like a log or a stone, like a paralysis and all those things, it's like you can't able to perform any action. I will remember you. That is one thing. And then the Sharanagati of in Ramayana, where Ram says that, what is that thing?
In this case of Vibhishan, even
In the case of Vibhishan, that there is the statement is that if you even if anyone surrenders to me even once, Sakri Deva, saying I am yours, even just once, I will protect them person in all circumstances. It doesn't matter whether he means that or he doesn't mean it. So Ram is saying that even if Vibhishan wants to cheat me, I'm okay with that. Just because he said that I am yours, I will accept him and I will deliver him. So
how merciful the Lord is.
yeah.
It's our good fortune that we have come into this process. At the same time, it can be our greatest misfortune also if we remain stuck in this process here. Because this process, we can be in this process for a long time also, like without making progress. If we just continue without, really aspiring to make progress, that is also there. We can be here, like happily doing devotional service here in the association of devotees, because once you have the devotion, and if you don't make any offenses, you will be guaranteed to get devotee association. And then you'll be continuing to do the same things over and over various lifetimes. But the ultimate goal is that is fine. That is also glorious. If you can be here, if that's your aspiration, just doing devotional service wherever you are for however long time. But then there is also a spiritual world, which the soul can go back and serve him directly there. Yeah, it's all desires. It's all our desires. It's our aspirations, what we want. Krishna will fulfill accordingly, he'll reciprocate. Ye tamam prapadyante, tam tasai bhajame. He will reciprocate however you want to. But at least have the clarity. Clarity has to come by doing this. Like whether we want to be here in this world and doing devotional service, same thing, life after life, lifetime after lifetime, or go to the spiritual world where you can directly perform devotional service eternally. So we need to get clarity. For that, we need to do devotional service of chanting, especially chanting has to be done with intent, intention and attention that has to come. The chanting is the one thing that actually makes the difference. Other things will flow from that. The reading scriptures will flow from chanting. If you are able to chant properly, you'll get an inspiration to read properly. And from the reading, you will get inspiration to chant again properly. So these two go together, reading, chanting and reading. And the other activities of devotional activities like attending temple services, doing deity worship, everything that cooking, everything that follows along with that are also aspects of devotional service, but they are naturally that we do. Before we became devotees, we used to cook, but then now we'll become more intently cooking for Krishna. With that, whatever bhoga we offer becomes pleasing to the Lord. So all these things are part and parcel of the devotional service. So, but it starts with the chanting because that's where our heart is. That's where it comes from the heart. It's nothing to do anything with the mind. It's not an intellectual thing. It's a very heart-related thing, chanting. So try to become more intent while chanting, with more intention, more attention. Make progress in that. Yes, Gauri Mataji, you have something to say?
Mataji, about chanting, but it is important to make progress even in chanting, right? So, like, but sometimes it is not possible. Like, if like in the morning time, most of the days I can, but I can set aside time and I can do 16 rounds. But sometimes, like if I have to go personally to the office, then on those days it's not possible. So then how can I say that I'm progressing?
Chanting not possible at all or not possible in the morning?
It's not possible in the morning, but in the daytime and in the evening, then the chanting is I feel it's a very bad. Like I'm not satisfied with it also.
See, we have to see these things, right? Our efforts. See, we have come to this stage of making ourselves come to this stage. We cannot blame anyone for what we are in. We need to take responsibility for our situations and accept our situation. First of all, we need to accept. Without accepting where we are, what we are up to, we cannot make progress. So we need to accept. So this is my situation. I am not able to regulate in such a way because I have these things still to do. These are things that I have to do and I'm not able to regulate it. Then who are we supposed to blame? It is our acts that we have done in the past have led all that we have done has led us to do this today. So there's no one to blame us. So accept it. If you don't accept, then what happens is, yeah, from acceptance only comes the next step will be progress. If you don't accept, you're not making progress. So accept whatever it is happening. And then in your mind, whatever you can do to make it work. Because the day, not picking on anything that you have said, but generally I'm speaking, then if we are not able to do it in the morning, do it in the evening. This is all you have. What else can you do? Then you say my chanting is bad, then put your intention at that time with all your, put everything in that chanting at that time of the day, because that's all you have. If you miss that, then you have missed the opportunity. If you say that only morning I will chant, but then that's not acceptance of your situation, right? Whatever you are being offered by your circumstance, And this circumstance have come upon me by my choices, by my destiny, whatever has happened, by our acts. So long we have been living in this body, have come up to the point of today where we are. So we cannot run away from this. We cannot shy away. Neither say this is not me. This cannot happen. Then we are not being true to ourselves. So we just have to accept wherever we are, and at that point become surrender to the Lord. Whatever time you have, offer it to the Lord and chant your rounds. If you have made a commitment, you have to stick to that commitment of chanting so many rounds. No matter how they are, like at least make this is your effort. Krishna, we can never aspire to become perfect in that sense. We can only make progressively. And Krishna's mercy it's up to him how he wants us to give his mercy. But then we need to show it to him that we want him by making these small efforts throughout.
Yeah, that is true. Like we can try to make up for the 16 rounds in the evening, but then our day goes bad, right? If we don't chant in the morning, then our day doesn't go as well as it would have if we had had the opportunity to chant in the morning.
You mean how does the day not go well? Because you are thinking of Krishna that you haven't chanted?
Because yes, so like if I'm not setting aside time to not think of material things in the morning, then my day doesn't go as well as it would have, you know.
Day not go meaning like you will feel bad that you haven't chanted? Is that how it doesn't go well, or something else will happen in your case? Like if you're thinking that
Maybe I will like I'll have a tendency to think more of material things if on a day where I don't do the 16 rounds. It's just my personal experience.
Okay. So in that case, then you can, so that would be your, that is an austerity you should try to cultivate, that if I couldn't chant because whatever reasons you have to go to work, which is important to support you, then in that time, instead of thinking material things, then think about Krishna at that time. If you can add Krishna to your thoughts during that time when you haven't chanted, because once you chant, you feel good that I have chanted. Okay, that's probably like you feeling,
Yeah.
thing comes, and that's where you're thinking it is, you have made progress. But then the days when you haven't chanted in the morning, the days it becomes hard for you to think about, then you think about Krishna more. See, it's a practice, right? It's not automatically coming to us. It's a practice. We need to cultivate. So at those days when you're not able to think more about Krishna, oh Krishna, I didn't chant rounds. If you can do that, that's progress.
That is realization.
That is progress there itself,
Yeah.
because you haven't chanted, but you're always thinking, oh, you're in anxiety for Krishna, thinking, I want to chant good rounds, which is nothing but making progress in Krishna consciousness. This is what Krishna wants. He wants your heart. If you haven't chanted, probably Krishna is out of your heart. He's like, because you chanted, you're done your check mark. Probably. Then that is where you're feeling good. What have you offered to Krishna? What is there? How are you bringing Krishna into your heart more? If you have chanted, okay, 2 hours you have done. But when you haven't chanted, the rest of the time you are able to think about Krishna. That means you are aspiring for him. That is progress. Instead of thinking, oh, if you can not bring the material things and think about anxiety for Krishna, then that is progress. So,
yes, got it.
I think we are over time. We are at the right section to stop. Next section is about the progressive stages of devotional service, which we will cover next week. It is a very exciting section as well. Thank you all very much. We'll remind you for that. Vanchakalpatarupescha kapasandapyacha patatanam parnente vashanyapayanamam anantakoti vashavandiki jaya shloka. Thank you. Hare Krishna.